Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's time for What Do You Call It? Podcast!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of What Do You Call It? Podcast. I'm your host, GB. And before I speak to today's guest, I actually want to give a shout out to my mate, Connor Gray. He's a long-time listener of the show, and you will notice soon this month that there's going to be a new theme song. So I want to give him props now. The theme song will be coming out next week. I've already heard it, but I'm just waiting for the video to be finished. But it's really good. So big shout out to him. If you can give him a follow, check out his music and his band. I'll put the details in the description below. But thank you, Connor. Back to my guest. Let me introduce him as well. Not to, go on about Connor. I'm not joking. Today's guest is the ruler of the ring. He's the CCW champion, the greatness, Darryon Drummond. How you doing today, mate? You all good?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I can tell you enjoyed the intro, especially the greatness, the champ, the ruler of the ring.
I'm always up for a good intro,
Is there any other monikers or any nicknames that you have that you want to share?
Let's see what there's the greatness. There's Darryon two-time, as in the two-time alternative, two-time CCW heavyweight champion. That's about it.
Fair enough, mate. Any new ones you want to create as we have this little chat, feel free to spring them to me, and I'll try and announce them at the end for you as well. But thank you for coming on today, mate. It means a lot. Before we talk about your run in CCW, Continental Championship Wrestling, become a fan of them since last year, I want to rewind the clocks, and I think the listeners will want to know, how did you become a fan of wrestling in the first place? What was your first wrestling-related memory?
First wrestling related memory is it's back in elementary school. Every weekend my friend would come over, or I would go to my friend's house, and then he would have these wrestling plush dolls. He had the Hulk Hogan, he had the Macho Man, he had the Ultimate Warrior, and we just like throw them around, and that's like my first introduction to like these personas.
Mm-hmm.
And then he also had the video game WCW versus NWO, and I'm learning. Yeah, I'm learning some more of these things, like Kevin Nash. Sting was on there, and then fast forward to about, it was like around 99, 2000, and I'm in the third grade at the time, and in my class there's this guy, his kid, his last name was Rock. So the teacher, they call him the Rock, and then people be like beating on the desk. They say, like, if you smell the Rock is cooking, and like I didn't know what that was about at the time. And then one Thursday night, I'm just flipping channels, bored one night, and then I come across it was UPN. It aired SmackDown, and then right there having a match is The Rock, and I'm just like, oh, that's who they're talking about.
It's not just my popular classmate.
Yeah. And just like, I was seeing like what The Rock was doing. I can't remember who he was facing, but I remember just being instantly captured, like right there. And then from there, I'm going to tune in next week to SmackDown. I'm going to see The Rock. And then keep week after week, and I'm learning more of these wrestlers. Like, I learned about the Hardy Boys. I learned about Chris Jericho, Triple H, and then I started falling in love with it, and now here we are today.
Nice, man. What is your favorite version of The Rock, by the way? I mean, I will always say Hollywood, but I want to hear from you. What's your favorite version of the People's Champ?
I'm going to have to agree right there. The Hollywood Rock 2003. It's like, for him to come back, and he's like, character-wise, he's just on another level. Like, sure, he's a heel, but it's just so hard to hate him.
Yeah. And he did a very good job at making people hate him, especially in Canada.
Oh, that Canada crowd, yeah.
Ah, that promo is like, finally The Rock has come back to Toronto. To Toronto. Toronto is my fault. Oh, yeah. Man, I can do so many quotes from just that promo itself. Honestly, it's like, 68,000 of you mother Canuckers booing The Rock.
My favorite was the Rock concert when he was talking about Sacramento.
Oh,
Nah.
I'll be sure to come back when the Lakers beat the Kings of May.
Now I just found myself out of nowhere just singing "Leaving Sacramento."
I can't wait to leave Sacramento. Oh man, I feel bad for any listeners out there, right? Listen to this interview, and they have not seen any of Hill Hollywood Rock stuff, like network, YouTube, however you want to watch this. Please do it.
Look at it. When this interview is over, y'all, look at it. Go 2003, The Rock, Hollywood Rock. Please look at it. You won't be sorry.
And it was only for like 2-3 months max. It didn't even last that long. But I still remember it like in 2022, word for word, most of the promos, Hurricane Helms. I mean, I can actually just have a full conversation about it now, but I'm not going to spoil it for listeners. And I want to basically crack on and talk more about your wrestling career and other things wrestling related as well. But I feel like wrestling wasn't necessarily always like your first love, because I think you mentioned obviously with the wrestling, what they're called, wrestling buddies. By the way, they're worth a fortune now if they're in good conditions. And obviously the wrestling game. But were you into anything else, like any films or like any American sports or anything like that, growing up?
Like this was like back when I was like a little kid. So before then, I wasn't really into anything except like some Power Rangers and Batman, Spider-Man, whatnot. So
Favorite Power Ranger,
which
by
is
the way, just because I've got an avid listener and he loves Power Rangers, and he'll be like, "I want to know," and I'm reading his mind now. Favorite Power Ranger.
my favorite Power Ranger. Back in the day, it was Jason, and now it's like a tie. Or like Jason is still one of my favorite, the original Red Ranger, but it's a tie between Jason and Zach.
Mm-hmm. Jason's cool, man. I mean, in primary school, like I used to always be like Black Ranger, and I was just like, I didn't really clock on at the time. I was like, oh, I wonder why. And I'm looking around, I'm like, right. And they'd always like, I
Like
remember you fuckers, by the way.
I didn't even like realize until I was older what they did. Like watching back to it, and I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
I mean,
man, Black
I
Ranger.
didn't necessarily see it that way, but I could see why
Yeah,
people think that way, and you kind of see it.
yeah.
But I remember the people that made me Black Ranger all the time. I don't forget,
Mm.
like an elephant. Moving on, what inspired you to become a professional wrestler? When did you know that you wanted to do this as a career?
I want to say around 2004, like the 2004 SummerSlam. I'm just watching these pay-per-view events, and I'm just hearing the crowd going, and like they're having these like incredible moments, and like that's what I wanted. I want to have these moments. I want like to feel the energy.
Strange
That's
that you mentioned that of all pay-per-views, of all SummerSlams, just because there's things I want to pinpoint from that pay-per-view, because I remember it had like Edge like being booed in his hometown, and then you had Eugene against Triple H, and Eugene was like really over at the time, but like I think what they used to call it Bizarro World, like when they were like everyone get
bizarre.
booed, that was it. And then but the main event, I know he can't really be mentioned these days, but the match was fantastic. Benoit and
The
Randy
day
Orton.
that they found the day they found the world heavyweight title.
That meme, man, it's so good.
What was ironic was like John Cena was the only like face that was getting cheered that night. Like
Yeah.
so like fast forward a year later and like he's getting booed, but
Yeah.
like a face John Cena getting cheered in Bizarro World.
Even Taker was getting like some boos as well, and he was against JBL.
Yeah.
That was a strange show, man. But like, it's a
Crazy.
fun show. I do remember, but the main event was quality. But what was like your family and friends' reaction when you told them that you wanted to become a professional wrestler? Did they know straight away? It makes sense, or did they laugh at you? Was they supportive? I want to hear.
So funny story is my mom didn't know I was like wanted to be a wrestler that I became a wrestler until I got hurt one day. So I'm like, I'm growing up, and this is just like a secret because like I would throw little hints about like, hey, mom, this person did this. They wrestled in high school too. Like I
Yeah.
wrestled in high school, so like they did this too. And she'd be like, "Uh, that's not what you wanted to do as a career, right? Is it?" Uh, um, just gonna
No, but what if I wanted to?
no, mom, no. Is it? And then it got to a point where it just like can't be hidden anymore. Like I one day I broke my hand and then I had to go in for surgery for it. And he's like, "How'd you do this?" I've been wrestling.
What was the reaction? What was it?
Yep, surprise. It was by that time she just like figures.
Hmm. Oh, okay. Yeah, I
So
mean, like, so you couldn't necessarily put it past her, but that because you probably thought that was when she first knew, but deep down she knew. Has she seen any of
yeah,
your
yeah.
matches, by the way? I know I'm skipping some of your training and stuff, but has she seen any of your matches?
She goes to all of them now.
Ah, I like that,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. I get she has to go with some family friends too
Yeah.
because she's one of those protective moms. So when one of those hard bumps comes, the family friend just like, nope, no, 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 stay here, stay here. So it's crazy.
Has she
I'll be
ever
like, I'll see her.
has she ever had to like I know you said like family friends to like sort of reassure her and say like, oh, he's okay, but has she got so into it that she's tried to have a go or have a a dig at one of your opponents?
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's when you know
It
you're doing
was
a good job then.
yeah, it was the last time I won back the CCW title, it was against Cecil Andrews, and then we're fighting on the outside, and then I take a neck breaker on that hard concrete floor. So like I instantly hit, and it just knocks the wind out of me. I'm just like, she's sitting like second row at the time, so she sees me like win it, and she's like, "Oh hell no!" Like you can hear it on the video and everything. She almost jumped that rail.
That's cool, man. That's cool. I mean, would you ever be tempted to get her involved in the storyline? Because I feel like she'd proper get into the character. I mean, they wouldn't have to even give her much, like, you know, much source or material. She could just be herself.
Maybe one day. I don't know if she's ready for all that. It's like I don't know. Like it might turn into a shoot.
This sounds great, man. I don't think I've actually put over someone's mum that hasn't actually been in the business, and now I'm trying to book them into the show. So that's definitely a first for the show. Fair play. Um, yeah. So Continental Championship Wrestling, is this the place that you would call your wrestling home?
It's where I've been the most of the time.
Hmm.
So I'll say it's my nest. I haven't really like left that nest yet, but you could say it's my home. Yeah.
When did you join them?
Obviously there's like so much out there. I joined in summer 2016. I was like I know I wanted to be here, but I didn't know how, like
Hmm.
what to do to get here. And then I'm just going on Facebook. I followed them on Facebook, and then they shared that there was open tryouts coming. And right there, I was just like, this is it.
Hmm.
This is my wake up call. This is how I get in. And then so I sent them the email saying I wanna take part in these tryouts. And then they sent me a reply, you're in.
Had you had any formal training before the tryout, like any backyard or any sort of, for example, Kevin Owens, he did like some serious training, not terms of wrestling for WWE. So did you put yourself any training or watch anything, or do you just turn up and I'm going for it?
Um like back in high school, I did like high school wrestling for 2 years.
Oh, cool.
And then other than that, other than that, I just studied. I just watched what they had going on up in that time. Just went in there prepared. And then I just showed out right there.
Can I assume that you took part in wrestling in high school because of professional wrestling?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Bro, I almost like jumped on the referee one time because like we was going, I guess going in the meeting before before a tournament started, and then the referee's just telling us all, okay, let's just keep it clean. This is high school wrestling. None of that crap you see on TV. And I'm just like,
Excuse me.
excuse you, sir? Like, oh, are we about to turn the TV on right now? Like, say it again. Say it again.
Say it again. You should have done a Dave Schultz, man. Just proper slap him.
I should have just
Slap the
RKO
lips
right
off his
there.
mouth. I mean, if somehow he listened to this, please come and show it, and please say it to me, and I will share it to everyone and see what their response would be like, because it's not going to be very, very positive. But I get people like that. Most of that, I don't know if you watch South Park, but you know when they do the wrestling one, and there's the coach from it, and he's like, "It's wrestling." If you haven't seen it, it's on YouTube somewhere. But I watch too much TV, as you can tell. That's the reason why I sit here and just blabber on. With the training, what were some of your biggest challenges that you found?
Well, instantly, like I got in there and they asked me, what do I want to do? Like I had the character in mind.
Mhm.
But like what you see now is what I had in mind. It's just getting them to go along with it because GCW has this view of it's you can see it on the tagline where hardcore meets tradition. They have this super strict view of tradition. Like they want you to have wrestling boots. They want you to have tights.
Mhm.
And on top of that, I'm wanting to play this cocky heel character. And then I'm going in as this quiet, introverted guy. Like I was the quiet kid in class growing up. And so like that was their first impression of me. So instantly they're thinking, yeah, he's not going to be able to do that. So it's just getting them to realize I can do that.
Mhm.
Uh,
No, I get that.
yeah.
I'm glad that
You
you
got to
mentioned sort of the character was kind of a challenge as well, because most people, like, when that does get asked, they always say about the bumps and stuff. But I think people do forget how important like, the character work is in wrestling.
Yeah. It's I would say you could have the best moves,
Mhm.
great moves, and if you don't have that character to keep them engaged, like did that move even mean anything? Like you have to keep them their attention.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree, 100%. I think character work, I think it's a bit of a lost art. I think I've said it in some of the early episodes. Um, Not to say like character is everything, but it is important, and I do think some of the younger talent do forget that. I'm not going to name names. That's not what it's about. I'm just making a point, and I'm agreeing with my guest. But no,
Most days.
there is one thing I want to point out. I heard from a source that you like to call the violent gentleman, Miles Blackwell, friend of the show, still unpinned. Fish and chips. And as you can tell, where I'm from,
I do.
good old England, yes.
I do call fish and chips. Yeah,
Have you actually ever had fish and chips, by the way?
I have. I have.
Have you?
My grandma's actually Scottish, so like I grew up eating that stuff.
Nice. My mum's
Yeah.
Scottish as well, so it's all good. I thought I'd point that. She's not anywhere here, but
She's secretly right there, just like I hear you.
like your
Baby.
mum supports you at the matches. She like anything you say negative to me, she'll come on. She's like, yeah, with a thick accent. Again, let you in. Have you ever been to Scotland, by the way?
I haven't, but it's one of those things I do want to do.
It's all right. It's not too bad. I've been a few times when I was younger. Lots of hills is something I'd like to say. The accent's very thick, but they're very funny people, as you probably noticed if you've seen them, on videos and stuff. Also, want to go back to the Violent Gentleman. If you can tell me what was your first impression of him, don't hold back. Be brutally honest, because I know he's going to listen to this. Still unpinned.
First time I saw him, I'm just like, yo, how we get Aleister Black here? Oh, sorry, Malachi Black. How did we get him in CCW? Like, what? He'll tell you like he hears it all the time. First thing you think when you look at him, Malachi Black.
Malachi Black, who likes fish and chips. Oh man, he's gonna definitely DM me after this. It comes out. But yeah, it wasn't me who said it. I'm just a host. I did laugh though, so that probably.
If he tried to call you a wanker, you let me know.
Yeah, man. I don't think he called me wanker. Like I probably called him a CUNT. That's one word I can't actually say in the show, by the way. But yeah, if you spell it out, you get the answer. What have been some of your favorite memories and matches in CCW?
I want to say my favorite matches is about 2 to come at the top of my head. One took place last summer in Palatka, Florida. It was me going one-on-one with Bryce Maddox. He was brand new at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then like we was in there in that main event, and the arena, the building, it kind of reminded me of the Hammerstein Ballroom because it had these balconies up top. Unfortunately, we couldn't put anybody up there, which I think we're going back soon, which I'm gonna like throw that in the hat, like, yo, let's put some people up in these rafters up here, make it like the Hammerstein.
Sneak them in, just like, come on.
Yeah. But it's like that, like I said earlier, that energy, just, it wasn't like the most fancy match, but it's like we kept them engaged the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that energy is everything. The second one is Stampede 2021 against Solo Jones. So this is the first super serious feud that I had today in wrestling. And it is against Solo Jones, someone whose moveset is kind of like me, where it's like hard hitting, like hit you in the mouth kind of moveset. And I've been waiting to fight this dude for a while now because I'm just like, I want to have this big old brawl with this dude. And we finally got to do that. The build for the feud, it's like we're doing a lot of the build is like off the webcast, like off the YouTube videos. We're doing our own things. We're like attacking each other. We're filming these promos, doing our own thing to build this feud, and then we finally get to have a match. We're just like it wasn't a street fight, but it was close to being like the closest to being a legal street fight as you can get, where you just using your environment. We're not hitting each other with weapons, but like we're
the closer you can get to without ending up in cuffs after the match.
Yeah, like this close to being disqualification zone, but like not exactly there. We're just throwing each other into other weapons instead of the weapons into each other.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I really like CCW as a whole. I like the content on YouTube. I mean, for like smaller companies, there's so much effort. The production of it as well, like for some of the shows, I really like it. The editing, I really like the commentary as well. I think I pointed out to, might have been Cole or Miles, but just like the effort. I really like it. I'm a fan of your work as well, and obviously I've reached out to you not too long ago, so I got you on here. But there are a few more questions before I do let you enjoy the rest of your day. What did it mean to you? Because I know you said you're a 2-time, and I know you're the current CCW champion. But what did the first time mean to you to be the champ?
The first time, I didn't even think it was gonna happen because, as you know, like no matter where you go, no matter what profession you is, every place is gonna have their politics. So I'm not really one to
that. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not really one to play those things. So I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking all I'm ever gonna have was the alternative championship, and if I can't have anything besides that, I'm gonna make that mean something. But then I win. I go on to win the Southern States title. Then I go on to win the first ever Rule of the Ring tournament. That was the first big shocker to me, winning the Rule of the Ring tournament. And then finally getting a chance to win that title. I remember, like, when I won the title, my best friend, he won a tryout a month before that. He was working security.
Mhm.
So he was sitting like literally front row seeing this to happen. And then that turned out to be one of the last times I saw him because he fell to COVID about a month later, unfortunately.
Sorry to hear, mate. Sorry to
Um,
hear.
yeah.
So it means that
Um,
much more than that this moment.
yeah. Like he got to see it. I had family in attendance that got to see it. And I think the most important thing was like I after I won the title, I went back through the curtains, and then everyone in that gorilla position, they're just standing, just gave me that ovation, and then that was the biggest shock right there because there's been other title changes
Mhm.
in CCW. Like we know what's happening. Like, all right, this person's getting the title. This person just won the title, and they're just like, okay, it's another day. I won the title. I come back, and then it's a standing ovation that like that hadn't happened as far as I can remember. That hadn't happened to date
Mm.
up
I
to
can
that
imagine that.
point.
I mean, I sort of picture myself then as you was, telling me the story. Very emotional. I mean, in any company, for them to make you the top champion, I mean, they're putting their trust. You are the face of the company. You represent them, and for them to applaud you as well when you've just won it, it just adds, it just makes it that much more special. And I'm glad you got that moment, and you got to win it again, and you are the current champion as we speak. If you had the belt on you, it would have been cool. I like the belt designs in CCW as well. They're pretty cool.
Yeah, there.
Big fan
And
of those ones.
We just got this new one called the Collective Bounty Championship. So like up until we got that, I've held every title in CCW, but
Mm. Oh yeah, tag team champion as well.
now
No.
there's a title. Yeah, it happened in levels. I held tag team, then I went to alternative champion, and then
Mm-hmm.
Southern States, and then heavyweight. So I became the first ever Grand Slam champion CCW ever had. And then the Collective Bounty came in
Damn
and
it, forgot that in
messed
the
all
intro.
that up. uh, dang it. Grand Slam Darryon. There we go.
Let's
I
get
should
that on
put
the
that on the
t-shirt as
shirt,
well.
actually. Grand Slam Darryon t-shirt coming soon. Keep an
Man,
eye out.
how much text can you get on one t-shirt, my man?
Just have but who is that? I think it's Roman Reigns. He has a t-shirt with like
Oh,
a
the God
list of
mode
all
one.
his accomplishments on the back.
Oh, the new one he's got, the God mode one, is pretty bad. And I don't wrong. I think Roman Reigns is probably one of the best things about wrestling in wrestling right now. But that t-shirt is fucking awful. It's so bad. I just like the placement of it, and I don't mind the saying. The catchphrase is cool, but it's the layout and the font. It's like, ugh. It's like it's
Like
been done on like,
Godl.
yeah, it's just like,
Godl?
well, there's a letter there. We can check it there. So like, gold. Just a few more questions, man. I like this question now. It's something I introduced at the beginning of the year. It's a popular question now, and it's not necessarily wrestling related. But if you want to make it wrestling related, that's entirely up to you, my man. If you could pick 3 dream guests for your dream dinner party, past, present, dead, alive, historical figures, it's entirely up to you. You can pick anyone. Who would you pick? You got to remember, you're the host. It's your party. You get to chew their ear off whilst they're eating your food that you served them. Who are you going to pick? If you can give reasons as well, that'd be cool.
Oh, damn.
Put you on the spot there a little bit, but it's a question I really like asking now because every answer is different.
I'm gonna keep it with wrestling because like I haven't really thought like
Yeah, that's cool.
mainstream
I've
celebrity
had
like that.
people stick with wrestling. Can't remember what it
I,
was now, but their answers were. But I've had a few say just wrestling, not a problem, my man.
I would say one, Xavier Woods, Dakota Kai, pretty much the whole New Day, Dakota Kai and Liv Morgan because they They seem like my kind of people, like how
That's well
people I would
random,
hang
but
out
I
with.
like it though, because like everyone will get
Yeah,
on though, and I feel like it's gonna be a lot of gaming talk, a lot of wrestling talk. But that is really random. Liv
yeah.
Morgan, Dakota Kai, and Xavier Woods with the New Day
It's
accompanying them if they can squeeze in. I mean, you got enough food for Big E.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
hope
I'm gonna
Dakota
have to.
Kai comes to the UK. Big fan of her. Big fan of her work. I mean, it was actually her choice, so it's not like she got the sack and then got told
Yeah,
you're fired. It was actually her. She didn't want to stay on, which is fair. She should have won the title, but that's just me being a bit of a fanboy at the moment. Just
I I agree with you. I agree. She should have had that strap.
nah, she was pretty cool, man. Another question. It kind of relates going back to maybe growing up as a wrestling fan. If you could pick one match that you can attend live, for one match, so it can be Rock Hogan, any match that you saw as a kid or as a teenager, or even one match you've seen recently that you wish you was there live. What match? Let me try that again. What match would you pick?
It would have been the once in a lifetime The Rock versus John Cena.
Not twice. Not
That
the second one. No.
nah, not the second one. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with the second
Nah,
one,
nah,
but
nah. The first one was
that
special.
first one, just the fact that that you never thought it was gonna happen, and
Mm-hmm.
then when I'll say it, The Rock, I mentioned is my favorite wrestler, and then right behind The Rock is John Cena.
I like
A
Cena,
lot of
man.
people,
I,
yeah,
I think we've got past now the whole it's cool to hate John Cena. I think I don't know what there's a few wrestlers now, but nowhere near is what John Cena had to go through. I mean, like Cena sucks, blah blah blah. But now I think everyone really appreciate how good he was and what he did for the business.
it was so confused to me, like when they turned on him for the first time, I'm just like, why are they booing him? What did he do? And like
I,
I thought
I'm
about like
I'll put my hand up and I will admit that I jumped on the bandwagon. I was a teenager, an angry teenager, right? But I think I kind of calmed down. I think my peak was kind of like Nexus. I was just like, oh, should have beat the Nexus, like proper fanboy, like Mark, like. But and then I think it was like a couple of years later, the US title run. That's what made me really appreciate John Cena as a talent. I was like, he's actually really fucking good,
that
and
open challenge.
and I think we still miss him a little bit in terms of like his as a star, the character work, not necessarily because he's been in Japan, he's gonna get 5 stars, but just everything about him larger than life. We don't have many of them in wrestling. But I'm just going off one. But the match you just mentioned, though, John Cena and The Rock, another thing I liked about it as well was the build up, the entrance, Flow Rider for The Rock,
Mm.
and Machine Gun Kelly for John Cena as well. It was so cool. But I bet
Back
there's
when
people out
Machine
there.
Gun Kelly was tolerable.
I know the Megan Fox thing, the drink each other's blood, and
I was like, what? Y'all vampires now? What?
in it. It's like, look, are you guys really desperate for headlines? Like, just be married, make music, Megan Fox. You can continue to make bad films. I will never forgive her for Transformers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 2 cartoons that I liked, and she fucking ruined them both. She is hot though. Not going to deny that. Sorry. Right, I need to have a bit more pride there. But no, it's cool. That's cool, man. Do you have any future goals in wrestling? Any sort of any targets or anything that you are driven to do that you want to do?
Obviously, it's the main goal, WWE or AEW now, like one of those big time companies. Like you always want to get to that top pinnacle.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's like if that's not anybody's goal, that's them. Like I respect that. Like you doing it for the love of the game. I respect that. But a lot of people, that's why they do it. They want to get to that pinnacle. I'm no different. Like I want to go to WrestleMania or I want to be on Double or Nothing.
I respect that though. It's a bit like I think it was Austin. You know, you either want to be in top or, you know, it's good where you are now. But I'm saying, you had that dream. You grew up watching WWE, you know, and I honestly say never say never. I've seen your work. Where can the listeners, if they want to stay up to date with you, follow you, and maybe see you on WWE television one day, where can they find you on social media?
They can find me both on Instagram and Twitter at Darryon Drummond.
Awesome. I will put the details below in case anyone didn't get that. I need to stop asking that and just put it on like a bar or something. I have my moments, man.
It's all good. It's all good.
No, I appreciate that, man. Thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks for having me.
I'll keep up to date with you as well on social media. For everyone that has listened to this episode, there will be more episodes of What Do You Call It podcast coming out this week. Actually, I'm a busy boy. I had a bit of a hiccup with the old content, but I'll be able to restore some of it. Happy days. Give you my life story again. I'll shut up. But for now, everyone, take care. Hello there. I've got a special announcement for my next guest.
Hi, everybody. I am Vicky, the Captain Dreamboat, and I will be appearing on What You Call It podcast. Very, very excited.
You heard. Ahoy, hoy.